You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Albert and Jonesy in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cantina Cast. My name is Albert Padilla, and today is a very special occasion. So, if you were a follower of the show, shame on you. No, seriously, if you know anything about the show, know what's going on, you guys know that we are recording this today, May 16th, 2021, which commemorates the 10th anniversary of the Cantina Cast being on the air. This is a huge milestone, in my opinion, and I've verified this with other, people of science, that this is, it's not just a big milestone for the Cantina Cast, but just 10 years in podcasting alone is a pretty significant milestone. And honestly, we're all thrilled to be here. We've got a couple fun things that we're going to do, but I'm going to start with the person you all know and love. He's here with me every single week, and helped contribute to that sizzling intro that we just all experienced. So hopefully you got a chance to see that.
Yeah, nice work, man.
Jonesy, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, that worked out pretty nice. Nice work.
It was a good collaboration. It was kind of like I got this idea, he had this idea, and we kind of merged them together, and
it was fun. Yeah, same with like the title card. We just kind of threw things out there and came up with something that we thought kind of looked cool. So we hope people like it. But yeah, happy birthday, man. This is really cool to to be a part of. And who thought 10 years for anything, like TV shows don't really last for 10 years very often anymore, right? Unless you're The Simpsons or whoever. And then podcasts, man, they fade so fast that if they make it past 6 months or a year, that's a big deal. And we've had milestones. We've had over 400 episodes if you include bonus content. So it's insane. And really cool to be a part of this and everything that Mike helped build. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Do we have a special guest tonight?
And speaking of people that thought this show would never go 10 years, please
10
welcome.
Years, we're lucky we made it 5 minutes. For God's
please.
sake. I have no idea how the hell we made it to 10 years. Honestly, this show was almost dead 10 times over throughout the years. But
so
anyway.
that ominous voice that you hear is none other than the executive producer of this show, the Dark Lord of podcasting. He's our very own Crosshair as part of the Bad Batch. Please welcome Mike Rondo. Mike Rondo, how are you?
Yeah, I'm delighted to be here, sir. My last episode officially on the show.
Yeah.
No,
we've heard this one before.
No,
Come on.
I will never appear on this show ever again.
We've heard this before too.
No. This is it. It's all you two now. I'm done. I'm walking into the sunset, and that's it.
Like, is it a binary sunset?
Yeah, we could go with that. Sure. Sure. This is amazing, though. By the way, that was an awesome intro, but I still think the celebration intro thing that you came up with the little stick figures was much, much better. That was a better thing. That was by far.
That was not okay. So for anybody, that was actually not me. That was Josh. That was Imperial Moonwalker.
Well, there you go. See, you top that one.
I'll take credit for it, but yeah, we've got So that one's somewhere in the annals.
Archives, yeah.
I like annals because people giggle when I say that. But yeah, it's out in the archives somewhere that we need to dig up so we can show folks what we're talking about. That was a fun time, and there was other ones too. There were more.
It was a running. Yeah, it's kind of a running gag. Like Josh used to draw us stick figures of things.
Yep.
And it was like artistic artwork, and we loved it because it was like us, and he put little arrows with our name of like who he thought we were as representations of us. It was.
And then I would take them and add in the effects. So I would add in like laser blasts and explosions and all kinds of stuff. So it was a great time. But all right, so not too many inside jokes here because people are going to start tuning out. But hey, it's no different than any other show.
Right. Yeah, I showed up, so they should.
Okay, well, let's get started. We've got about 3 hours of content here, so I want to make sure to get through it all.
First off, you're cutting it. Albert, before we came on, I had to have some Dunkin' Donuts coffee, which was horrible. But it's all we had in the house. And, because this is like my bedtime. Because I'm a crotchety old man now. So Anyway.
Well, so let's start with this before we get into some of the fun stuff that we've got. Let's get into the not so fun stuff. What do you have? So, Mike, just reflecting on 10 years, and I joke that you never thought the show would go 10 years, and I think there's probably some truth in that several times, right? I mean, you weren't joking when
Yeah.
you said, I thought the show was dead many times already,
Oh
but
yeah.
just reflecting
'Cause
back in the 10 years, what's that been like for you?
a nightmare most of the time. Stressful. I get a lot of gray hairs from doing this.
Oh,
Um,
please.
I'm serious, and that's stuff I'm not going to get into here. But you guys know, a lot of people know what all that entails. But it's I am surprised we've made it to 10 years. I don't, there's I kind of contribute that to me not want. I'm not one to throw in the towel on something like I start and create or whatever. I kind of just write it out and see where it goes. And usually it's a disaster. Somehow the toboggan here kind of weaved its way and lasted for whatever reason, and we didn't hit a tree. We dodged a few, but we're still here, and that's pretty impressive because I don't think anything else that I've come up with or created has ever lasted more than 5 minutes or
Yeah.
10 minutes. And here
Well,
we
besides
are.
your daughter, but yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, my daughter was born 2 days after our first episode premiered, so
Oh, wow.
this is technically my first child, and Morgan's my second child. But
Yeah.
I like Morgan a little bit more than the Cantina
Okay.
Cast. But
Oh, I
that's
didn't you say than the other child, but yeah,
no,
sorry.
no.
It's obviously that's obvious with the editing performance that we usually get from you.
Yeah, well, that yeah.
For friendly fire.
Yeah,
Right.
that's okay.
For those that don't know, and we kind of did this on the social media today, we love giving Mike a hard time if it's not obvious
No.
because we just love him so much.
Oh,
There's just
yeah.
so we have to show our love in a very abusive way,
Yeah.
and he really does deserve pretty much all of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep. The good and the bad.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mostly bad. Yeah.
Take the good, you take the bad.
Oh, God.
You take
It's
them
gonna be
both.
stuck in
and
my head.
There you
now.
have.
Great.
Facts of
Here we
life.
go. This is not the basement, guys. Come
I
on
know.
now.
All right, so let's get this back on track here. And you said
Okay.
toboggan. I thought we saw this as more of like a slip and slide, like circa 85, circa slip and slide. They have a new slip and slide that's out, and it's $100 at Costco. Totally different. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, so let's get into.
Okay.
We're celebrating the 10th anniversary. We had a lot of folks that reached out to us today on social media before the show. We were on a meeting for May the 4th be with y'all, and it was kind of a wrap-up meeting. And there were some folks in there that expressed some kind words. And I really do mean that. I mean, you think about it, you kind of said it right. 10 years at anything is a pretty significant milestone. I know we joked with you at one point when we hit, what was it, episode 300? You're like, nah, that's not a big deal. We got to, we're over 400 at this point. Still probably not a big deal in your mind. But are you willing to come on air officially and say that 10 years is a big deal?
Yeah, all right. I'll say that. I'll give you that because, like I said, the show should have been dead 400 times already in the 10 years that it's been around. Once with Brian and I, then Joe and I, and everything else, and things that have happened throughout the years. I was ready to rip my hair out, and this takes up a lot of time. I don't think people don't understand.
Yeah.
Especially in the earlier days. Like, see, we're streaming on StreamYard right now, and the file is going to be recorded. It's easy to rip off and kind of post it and be done with it. In the old days, we had the way we edited and recorded things. It took up a lot of time, especially when you were editing that and learning how to edit. That took hours, and it was crazy. And you just wanted to rip your hair out half the time because you're like, oh, the audio doesn't sound like this or that.
Mhm.
Even now, like you get glitches now. Like someone said my audio was low. It could be. Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, it's just crazy to think that it survived this long with all the turmoil that goes on in the back that most people don't see. Because the thing is, it does take up a lot of time. And then how do you juggle your family, friends, other hobbies and interests that you're into, and then this
Right.
becomes this. It takes on a life of its own, and it's crazy how that happened. It went from a simple thing to this big thing that kind of just snowballed into something. But
Yeah, and when we took the show over, we really saw that because there was anytime you have when you have a changeover in host and personality, people really grow attached to what what they know and what they fell in love with the show, and it set such a high bar for Albert and I to come in. I mean, I remember how nerve-wracking it was a lot of the time of like how do we do what these guys have been doing for so long that I know Albert and I both were huge fans of when we came in and started listening to y'all. And but I mean, it's just a testament to what you guys had built in the time. And yeah, there's a lot of sacrifice that goes with it, time and energy and effort, and you bump heads with people along the way too. And
yeah,
there's a lot that goes into it, and it's but you got to smile and be pretty for the camera and go on like everything is hunky dory, right? Sometimes, even though it's kind of in a rough spot elsewhere. But yeah, and you guys always pulled it off, man. It was always great.
Well, we were drinking half the time, so that helped.
That's right. Yeah. So Albert and I don't drink during the show.
Maybe that's the
which
problem.
is why the show is better than when it was back then. So
yeah, that could be it.
Yeah.
Well, so we got a couple things. So I want to get into. We've got some questions for you, Mike. Jonesy's going to pick up that. That's going to be this first segment we kick off. We're going to do. You've got some questions for us afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Just a few though. We're not as many. We've got a game that Jonesy wants to play with you. I've got a game for both of you. Jonesy doesn't know what this game is, and I'll tell you more about that here in a little bit. But don't worry. If you've listened to the show, you're going to recognize it. And then I thought we would do like a ask us anything. So anybody that's joining us live, if you got a question, hold off on the question because I don't want it to get lost in the feed. But as long as they're clean, you guys can throw in questions there and, kind of we can spend some time kind of interacting back and forth with the folks that are watching the live show. And then finally, I just thought we would kind of end this whole thing on getting your final thoughts on, the 10 years and all that. And then Jonesy and I kind of want to speak about, have you speak about what you feel is next for the show. And then we've got some thoughts about things that we'd like to do and all that. But
I got thoughts. All right. Where we going?
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be the Newlywed Game, by the way.
Where's the plug? I got to find the plug.
Where's Michaela? There you go. She says, I want it to be a Newlywed Game.
Oh,
so we can do that too.
I thought this was my life. That's what we were doing here.
No, that would have been like a 2-minute show. So we decided that we wanted to
just
extend that.
Videos.
Yeah.
That's right. Hockey and Jeeps.
Hockey and a dolphin.
The dolphin.
All right. Well, Jonesy, with that, go ahead and why don't we jump into the questions for Mike?
Yeah, a bit of a history down memory lane type of thing here. So it is your life, Mike. No, hey, before you were an internet celebrity, do you remember what life was like before the show? And what like this? Well, I don't. Yeah, I want to know what life was like. What was a young Mike Rondo like before fame and fortune took him over? And then on a more serious note, like what made you want to marry Star Wars and podcasting? Why did you feel like you had to put this out there in the first place?
That is a very good question, and one I wish I could go back in time and ask myself. What are you thinking? I don't know why. I've thought of this before because I always joke with my daughter. I say I'm internet famous. I'm a celebrity. Jokingly. I'm really not. It's nothing like. It's a big joke with her, but she thinks, "Oh wow." I'm like, no, I'm really not. You're the only one who thinks I'm something, so that's cool. But yeah, I don't know. This is how it started was with Brian and I. Back in the day, we used to get together for cigars and have a couple of beers or whatever, and we would talk about video games and whatnot. And he was into RPGs and MMOs and stuff, and I love Star Wars. And we that goes back in, I want to say 2008 and 9 and 10. We kept doing that, and then like in 2010, I was listening to the other Star Wars: The Old Republic podcast because the game was ramping up or whatever, allegedly at the time. And I'd listen to other Star Wars podcasts and everything. I said to myself, well, I can do that. They do that. Why can't we do this? And for some reason, I conned Brian into doing it. And the rest is history. And I don't know why I don't know why I did it, to be honest. I think it was just to fulfill to talk about Star Wars and to fulfill that radio broadcasting kind of dream that you have. I don't know why. I just and here we are. So
yeah, there's always something about the people we see in the media and stuff that just have some certain limelight with it. Oh, it'd be cool to be able to do something like that.
I don't know. I just always found it fascinating, like sports talk radio or political talk radio, where they're just talking and doing their thing. Mm-hmm. I thought that was great. Like you get paid a few hours to talk and do that, and I'm like, well, I could probably do.
Whoa, hold on. You get paid?
Not really. No.
Man, I'm renegotiating my contract.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have to let you go there, Jonesy. Sorry about that. So Albert, we're gonna have to find a new co-host now.
Fantastic.
Only kidding.
Well, and the thing about just quickly, I like you think about podcasting around that time, right? There really weren't that many podcasts, to be honest, right? I mean, it was such a niche kind of thing, and I know there was a lot of speculation as to how well this thing was going to do. I mean, because this is really truly when it podcasts were on before that, but they weren't like they are today, and there certainly weren't as many Star Wars podcasts as there are today. You can't even keep up with it. I mean, it's like there's a new Star Wars podcast every single week. Sometimes it feels like, and that's fine. Star Wars is so much bigger now, and it feels like that's probably right. We need to have more shows so that everybody can kind of find what they like most about it. But when you go back to that time, And I was going to post this, and I'm still going to. When we've been posting these pictures over the years from the Cantina Cast, and I've got this one that's very interesting. Not to spoil anything, but it's got a picture of, a long time ago they would throw up all of the podcasts on the StarWars.com website. You remember this?
Yeah, we were one of them.
Yeah, and we were one of them, right? It was up there, and there's some other ones that are still around, believe it or not. But if you look at those shows, most of them are gone. Like we said, they did not sustain. And there's some of them that were there, disappeared for a number of years, and have recently come back, which I thought was fascinating. But yeah, I mean, anything again, just going back to that. I mean, there really weren't that many podcasts that were Star Wars related, and I think Disney and or at least Lucasfilm realized, okay, we can't. This is not sustainable with the growth and how many are coming or up and coming every single week, every month, and so they eventually dropped all of that. But it was a very different time, and so that was always the question was really around like why even take the chance? And I get it now. It feels like, I mean, I understand. I know that you've always wanted to
Well,
do some
that's
kind
more.
of radio thing, right?
Well, I think now that's more of a complicated thing to do. Like you said, there's so many Star Wars podcasts. There's so many podcasts in general. You feel like your voice is going to get drowned out. Like, how do you just got to kind of do it.
Hmm.
I don't recommend doing it, to be honest, because it's such a, unless you're just doing it for fun and just enjoying it and not taking it as serious as I did for like 4 years at 100 miles an hour and just burned myself out, which is why I'm retiring, Albert. Um, but
Until July 2021.
no,
Right? Yeah.
no, you're not getting me to do it, so stop. Um, but yeah, I mean, and be honest, Jonesy, I don't remember what my life was like before I even started this because this has been such a part of my life now. It's almost like my daughter. I don't know what my life was really like, other than crazy, and I did a lot of stupid things. I don't. It's just hard to go back to what that was prior to. Yeah,
So,
it's crazy to
so
think
as you
about that.
guys kind of started getting rolling, was there something that you were like looking to accomplish, or was it just no, we're just
Not
having
at the
fun and talking about it? Or was there something starting to develop even early on?
No, not really. I mean, at first it was just again to get my because when I grew up, I didn't have many Star Wars fans around me. I had some in the neighborhood, but they were older or they moved on or whatever. But as I get older, I still liked this thing,
Hmm.
and I had no one to talk to. But Brian, kind of a Star Wars fan, but more of a gamer guy, and I thought, well, it's a good combination, and maybe it'll work, kind of thing. And it did for a little bit. Then the game stunk. Yes, it did, Albert. And we,
That's a lie.
You should
no,
have
it's
had all
not.
of the stuff that went with it, like Albert did. It
Yeah.
made it much
It's
more
because you didn't have the
enjoyable.
keyboard, mouse, and the mouse pad
Well, I'm glad I didn't
or the
waste my
headset.
money on that. I wasted on everything else, but yeah. So there was no real goal. I know in the early days, the Cantina Cast was kind of like the black sheep of that whole group. Things have happened, which has happened it happened later on. It always happens with the Cantina Cast. We always find ourselves in a situation now and then. That those days are kind of over, but at the time, so we kind of banded with a bunch of other podcasts that were kind of like the outcasts there, and then we got a bit of a chip on our shoulder, which plays into where we were in 2013 when we came back and going forward from there. And we just went 100 miles an hour once we tried to kind of fine tune what this was going to be and what we were going to do, which took some time. And then once we figured it out, we were like 100 miles an hour running into a wall, and it almost killed the both of us. Really, I mean, it just burnt us out because we were just trying to be number one, which was an insane thing to try to do, and we kind of accomplished that, but not when you look at it, it's like, what are you doing? You're making yourself crazy, and that's what happened. So you can
Right.
burn yourself out just trying to like, I got to beat everybody when you should just take a step back and just compete against yourself more than anything else. But
Right.
anyway, yeah.
Now, y'all had a website that was going for a while, and y'all had
Oh
staff
yeah.
writers and everything else. Was
Oh
that
yes.
was that when the show started growing, or that was how you wanted to grow the show? How did all of
Well,
that kind of play out?
we wanted to, we wanted it to. Well, as we were doing this thing, blogging was still kind of a thing, and
Hmm.
having articles were kind of a thing. So we thought, well, that should be kind of a thing too. Like we have the podcasts, the blogs, and the articles or whatever. Um, and that helped quite a bit. It actually helped the show grow because the show for 2013, 2014, we were just spinning our wheels. We weren't going anywhere. And I remember talking to Joe, and I'm like, well, what are we gonna do? We're just spinning our wheels here. So we gotta figure out what we're doing. And we kind of laid the groundwork for what was to come with the breakdowns of this, that, and the other. And we kind of finally figured it out. And we thought the bringing the bloggers in and everything would help grow that, and it did. But the problem with blogging and everything, it kind of died out after that. Like when we get it, it's like the podcasting was going up and the blogging was going down. And Becca used to get mad at me all the time because she used to say blogging is dead. Um, and we still argue about it to this day.
Oh,
But
she
it
had some
was
references the other night.
yeah, I know. Well, it's true, and it's true. Podcasting has gone up, and blogging kind of went down,
Yeah.
which is sad because I actually I enjoy reading, but people have attention spans of
Yeah,
like 5 seconds.
blogging is
Yeah,
a tweet or it's a post these days, right? I mean,
yeah,
that's essentially what it is now.
pretty much. Yeah, you gotta, and I can't come up with something like that and clever or anything like that. So forget that for me. But podcasting works. So
So you were talking about when you guys kind of finally figured out what your, I don't know, your niche was going to be.
yeah.
When did it kind of become real that, hey, people really want to hear what we're saying, and something has changed with the show, and just the energy that gets behind that got behind it as you guys were really starting to take off? Like, did you have a moment in there where you kind of realized something special was kind of happening?
Not really. I mean, going into Anaheim, that was kind of a make it or break it thing. Um, that was like another hurdle where the show was either going to live or die, and we somehow managed to live. And one of my favorite memories is us podcasting every night in the hotel lobbies and stuff. And people, I remember doing one show, and the guy's right next to me as I'm trying to do a show, and it was weirding me out. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to do a show, and you're like right here. Um, so that kind of we thought we were making some headway, and we did. And then The Force Awakens comes out, and we thought we did something great. Oh, all right, we're doing good, and things kind of leveled out or whatever. And then Rogue One came out, and then it just went off the charts for some strange reason. Well, there was one reason I know why, and a lot of other people do it, which is really technically not the way to go about it. But we were going up before we did this little cheat or hack with iTunes. We were going up, but then we decided to experiment, and we did that, and then we really went up. And then it petered off, and then I changed things, so we went back to being legit and not doing things not so good. And the numbers just stayed up for like a year and a half, and it was just baffling to us. Probably the weirdest thing was my friend Tom. He's a friend now, and he used to blog for us. FedEx Tom, as I always reference him, has.
Hmm.
He showed up one day. He knocked on the door, and my wife answered, and he asked, "Is Mike Rondo here?" And she's like, no, he's not. You got a package for him?" She goes, "Oh, no, no. I listen to the Cantina Cast, so I'm driving and everything." It was the weirdest moment. And my wife, I to this day, I always say, "Hey, I told you I was a big deal.
Yeah.
You don't want to believe me, but so that was weird. It's been a strange. Anytime something like that happens, it's weird to me because I'm really just a normal regular guy. I'm not one to think anything great of myself, and to have all that stuff happen, or even people when we're in celebration coming up to you and say, "Oh," and you're like, "Oh, really?" It's crazy. It is crazy. So, but yeah, I guess Rogue One is really what made it kick in the high
Right.
gear, where I'm like, "Oh, people really are interested in what we're doing and breaking things down
Right.
and all that stuff." So,
So what made y'all land on the character dissections? I mean, because that really became really that and the psychology of really became the staples of the show that really had people coming back overly. If I remember a lot of the comments and the reviews from around that time, I mean,
yeah.
those were the things that people just absolutely loved. How did you guys land on that specific type of target?
Well, that was prior to even starting, you gotta go back to, like, the Revenge of the Sith, stuff there. I got all these books. I've posted them before online and everything. Uh, Star Wars and Philosophy, The Tao of Star Wars, all these other interesting books, the mythology of Star Wars. There's a whole bunch of them I've had. And I was going through a rough patch of my life, one of the many,
Right.
and I was kinda reading all that stuff, reading philosophy, psychology, and all these things that I was always interested in, but diving even more into. And I was using Star Wars to kind of make it, I guess, more palpable, or I was able to digest it a little bit better and
Mhm.
understand it a little clearer. Because the characters I relate to, everybody relates to. I would say all the Star Wars characters, in one way or the other, the dark side, light side, in the middle. We all have those kind of sides to ourselves, and it kinda just went from there. And, you know, Joe and I were talking, we're like, "Oh, well, we kind of wanna do this," and, the Force Cast at the time used to do the Clone Wars roundtable or whatever,
Mhm.
and I love that, and they basically did with that. And I said, well, why don't we just do that all the time with like the characters and whatnot, and just break it down with psychology, philosophy, and quotes as well. Which you guys probably should revisit the quotes thing, because now that we get all this other information, especially with Obi-Wan, I really do hope they go back to the Obi-Wan once thought as you, because I swear in the Kenobi series they're gonna meet again and they're gonna duel.
They're
And
gonna
that
have
line's gonna be tied up, and maybe you'll get me to come on the show, and
was
so
about to
I
say,
can come on
see,
and say I told you so.
there's the
But
door. There's
that-
the door. It's now cracked back
no,
open.
no, I'm closing it again.
It didn't take,
Closing
no, it
No,
didn't take
I'm-
anything. You
it's-
did it yourself.
You did it
It's
yourself,
closed.
yeah.
Closed. That's it. But anyway, sorry about that.
No,
No.
those are great stories. Those are the things that I think people who have come into the show more recently, and I mean, even when Albert and I started listening to the show, there's a lot of those things that we didn't know was going on. And I mean, we were there at the beginning of Discord and stuff too. And
Well, let me ask
now
you this.
we just assume like Discord's just a thing all the time.
Yeah, I know that I was against Discord actually to begin
Right.
with. I was like, I don't want another headache.
That turned out to be one of the best things y'all did, I thought.
Yeah. I would have to say, yeah, in retrospect, yeah. It's actually because we got a little family over there, a little community. It's pretty cool. We all have different ideas and backgrounds and thoughts and everything. We somehow managed to get along in this day and age. That's probably one of my favorite goals of achieving on the show, is that we've actually managed to be civil in there with everything going on in the world.
Had some touch and go moments.
Well, few. But let me ask you this though:
Half of them were your fault, but whatever.
Yeah.
Please continue.
From your
What's
point of view,
what's your question?
From your point of view, sir, I'm always right. But anyway, I got at both of you. I'm going to get into my question here. The one that really matters to me most here is, how did Albert, and then I'll get to you, Jonesy. How did you come about the Cantina Cast? What made you?
It was
I
a
don't know, you
dare.
might have told me this. Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
No, I think
Yeah,
I think
might
I
have said-
did tell you this. I was on a. I was really not into podcasts. This is probably around. It was right before Rogue One. I think I was part of that influx of
surge?
people that were, that surge of folks that were coming onto the show around that time. So this would have been about what, 2015, 2016,
2016,
somewhere around there. And I really wasn't into podcasts very much. But I've always been into Star Wars, and and this is how ignorant I was. I mean, I really didn't really want to think about podcasts or any of that stuff. And I was going on a camping trip, and I had about a 4 or 5ve hour drive before I got to the location.
Is that what it is?
I
I got a great voice
yeah,
for putting
go to
people
bed.
to sleep. But
Yeah, no, that's not it. So
Julie and the Pugs.
yeah, right. I needed something to listen to on the way out there, and I thought, okay, let me just go in
You poor
and
soul.
do a search. And honestly, like, there were a few podcasts that I queued up, and I remember of all the shows that I listened to, the Cantina Cast was the one where I was like, that's not how you say that. That's not right. That
Sounds
is
about right.
absolutely
That
that's
sounds about right.
ridiculous.
Get back on topic.
What kind of crap is it? And no, but seriously, it's we joke about this when I don't think we joke about it. We always talk about it being thought provoking. And I will say this, like, I to this day, I don't always agree with Mike, and I don't always agree with Joe or Jonesy. Oh, I don't agree with Joe also.
Wow.
But I don't always agree with what you guys say or think, right? But at the same
Oh, no,
time,
that's-
and that's part of it, right? And it reminded me, and I've told this story before, so I'm going to apologize, but there used to be, when I used to, a long time ago, I sat around these statues, and I'm not going to get into the details here, and we would work
I'm
on
kinda
these.
getting nervous. I think
Have you not heard this story? Because I'm going to tell it then, because this is the 10th anniversary. So
all right, go for it.
we're going to release everything. Okay, so let me back up. So one of the very first jobs I ever had, I was working at SeaWorld of Texas.
Oh boy.
And there
Yeah, I
was
remember.
like 5 or 6 of us that would get there about 5 a.m. And we had these yellow arrow. I'm putting my hands up to the camera. We had these little yellow arrows. They literally looked like an arrow with a little tip at the end. And we had a whole bunch of these things. And we would go out to this garden. And at the garden, there were these bronze statues. And the bronze statues had a layer of wax on them that had to get changed every year. And the wax preserved the color and all that, right? Our job, my summer that year, was to literally take these little arrows and scrape all the wax off these 23 statues that were scattered throughout the walkway of this garden. Well, it turns out that one of the other guys that I was there with, and we'd work 8 hours. So we'd start at 5 a.m, work 8 hours. One of the other guys that was there was a huge Star Wars fan. His name was Brian. And I've lost contact with him. And if he's ever listening to the show, please reach out to me. But he was into Star Wars, and he was into Star Wars role-playing games and all of that. And the other guys were all Star Wars fans too, but not as big as we were. And so that turned into us having, because there was nothing else to do, right? We didn't have radios or anything. This was a very long time. So we had nothing to do but to talk to one another. So what we would do is talk about theory, Star Wars theory questions. We got into trivia. And so I would start spending time like memorizing lines and quotes from Star Wars. I mean, 326, 327, there's a period of civil war, rebel starship striking from enemy base, won the first victory. I mean, I would go through meticulously and memorize stuff because I wanted to trump those guys in Star Wars trivia all day long. And so going back to the Cantina Cast, that day that I drove out to the camping, I found myself kind of in that same mentality, like, whoa, I'm like reliving those moments where I've got these guys talking about stuff. I really wish I could contribute, and because I think I have a different take on it or a different opinion. And it was that thought-provoking piece, that component of the show that really kind of hooked me and made me want to go back and listen to, past episodes. And I realized those kind of stunk. So then I just stayed with the show and moved forward at that point. But yeah, that was my entry point. So I've gone on enough about it. But Jonesy, tell us, how did you, and I don't think I know this story, honestly. So I'm interested.
I don't think you've ever shared with the group.
Not really. So when Force Awakens came out, I never really had someone to talk a lot of Star Wars with anyway. I was kind of on an island, and
so like me, basically.
Yeah, a bit. So when Force Awakens came out, I was like, man, all this stuff is happening. I don't know what is going on with Star Wars in general. I'd read all the Legends books, so I was kind of in the know on that stuff, but I really didn't know what else was going on. I didn't listen to podcasts at all either, and my commutes kept getting longer and longer to work. So I was like, all right, I'm going to figure out what this whole podcast thing is. I think this was in summer of 2017, earlier, like maybe spring of 2017. And so I stumbled on a few podcasts, and Cantina Cast was actually one of the very first ones. Actually, what hooked me was the music, because you guys were the only ones that weren't doing something that was really cliche Star Wars.
Star Wars MIDI.
Right.
Right.
Well, or all the sounds or the thing. I mean, and some of them
started that way, but it changed because YouTube kind of made us change that in a way, and so did Apple, and everyone else didn't seem to follow but us. So
no, but Jonesy's right. I mean, there's so many shows out there, and again, not shade on any shows out there, but at that point, like, and I'm sure this is where you're going, it was so cliche. There were so many of them. They all started with some kind of rendition of a Star Wars tune that's like, okay, I got to sit here for 30 seconds, a minute before that was done.
I always wanted to do a punk version of the Cantina Cast. I mean, the Cantina song, but we never got that to happen. So
but there's been a few that are cool like that, right? They get some original version of it, or they do it themselves because they're a group of musicians, or they've got that kind of talent. But no, it was really cool though, because I mean, all the other ones were just kind of what you would expect, right? And y'all did something different. And so I was listening probably for a few months, and then I heard you guys mention Discord a few times. And so I like the show. You guys were doing something totally different, because when I was listening to some of the other shows, and these were probably the bigger shows that were out there, right? Because they're the ones that pop up in your feed. They were, half the time they didn't really have a subject matter. They were kind of all over the place. They seemed to have a lot of experience with things and seemed to be smart, but they just didn't have any kind of focus. And you guys had really focused topics, right? And you had like things you wanted to dive into, and we joke about it, but half the fun was yelling at the radio, like Albert was saying, of, what the hell are you talking? Well, and for me, it was always like, oh my God, get back on topic. Get back. Like, why? How did we get to this point? And it was both of you, not just the former co-host.
No. I mean, I'm guilty as well.
But it was terrific fun, but it was just fun, right? And it was interesting, and it was good, and it made you think, and it was just totally different than the rest. Really, all I wanted was news. That's all I went into, like, looking at podcasts for. I just wanted to see what was going on and get up to date. And I found something completely different that it was totally unexpected, and just absolutely fell in love with. And then when you guys launched Discord, it was just, I remember very clearly, I signed up for Discord, and we were at a resort up in Dallas, up at the Great Wolf Lodge, I think. And I literally sat there on my phone talking to you guys in Discord on my phone, literally until like 2 or 3 in the morning. And I was just hooked. I couldn't put it down. I knew what Discord was. I already had Discord for gaming and whatnot, but that you guys were on there, and there was people interacting. At that time, I think we would have, how many do we have, Albert? Like 5 or 7 people. It's like you, me, Josh, a couple of other folks, I think.
I I wasn't
Yeah.
even there
Oh, it
right
was Joe
away.
too. Don't forget Joe. Joe was one of
Oh
the
yeah,
first.
Joe was there too. Yeah, I mean, the what as the EGM folks. I mean, we were kind of there at the beginning of the Cantina Cast in Discord at least, and but no, it was just so much fun that there was a community you could actually reach out to because there was another show, and I won't name them, but they wanted to charge you to be part of their Discord, right? They wanted it was part of their Patreon packages, and if you go up to this, then they would let you do. I was like, why would I do that? These guys are giving me for free, and they've got tons of great ideas, and we had great chat, and then we started playing video games. It was all downhill from there.
Pretty
But yeah,
much,
so I
yeah.
really when I joined the show in 2018, I'd only been listening to the show 8 or 9 months, probably something like that.
Hmm.
It was a whirlwind for me of how all that how all that kind of stuck.
Hmm. Well, the premise, one of the premises of the show was basically two guys at a bar talking Star Wars, where you would argue and have different points of view or whatever, and
Right.
someone would walk by and hear the conversation, like the radio or whatever. Like Albert would walk by, like, whoa, 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 wait a minute, no, you're
Yeah. What'd you
wrong
say? Yeah.
completely
No.
Right.
for saying that, and
And you have a new
that's
best friend hanging out at the
yeah,
bar.
yeah, which was the point of the show, really.
Yeah.
We always said we weren't experts and we weren't always correct or whatever, but we tried to get it so you would say, "No, you moron, that's not right. This is what it is," or whatever, and we had that back and forth. There are times people have made me change my mind, because one of the things I like challenging my own perspective on things and kind of putting it to the test of what I believe all the time, and
Mhm.
that's part of the show. That's the DNA of the show, if you will. I hope we've achieved that. I think we have
Well,
for the most
something I
part.
really liked, or something I really liked, was you guys would bring when you brought someone on the show, which was not very often, but when you
True.
guys did, they had a very specific purpose. You brought someone in for music. Y'all had Katie come in and
Yep.
talk about basically
Uh,
brain changing and things like that, which was
MK Ultra. Yeah, yeah. That
MK
was
Ultra,
fun.
yeah, which was actually one of the things I got kind of
Yep.
hooked me to start talking more with you guys, and but it was those types of things that even when you brought someone in, it wasn't just a hey, we got this person, and
Yeah. Well,
let's
yeah.
ask them the same questions they've been asked 1,000 times. It was like, no, they're actually going to dig into the subject with us and toss ideas out there and challenge it. And those were fantastic, and y'all did such a great job of that. It was really cool.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I didn't do a good job, but everybody else did. But
That's why you bring on guests who
well, here's the thing with
make
the
me look
guest
great.
thing. I used to get into arguments with people over the guest thing.
No.
Yes, I still do sometimes. Because to me, guests are supposed to be special, right? So when they come on, it's supposed to be an event almost. And I didn't want it to be like every week, got to depend on the guest every week and all this, the flavor of the week type of thing. I wanted it to be special. So when we had someone come on, like Adam for the psychology
Mhm.
or Katie for the MK Ultra or whoever, we wanted it to be special and we wanted to make it mean something at that point. I wanted to be 'cause I don't know, I thought most people didn't tune in because of guests back then. I really did. I thought they didn't care what the guest was gonna come and say because it's the same thing over and over that they say. Like, if you invite an author on, I don't know, whoever, they just give you their talking points. If you bring someone on who's like a psychologist or whatever, but is a regular, not like world famous or anything, and he comes on and he's gonna give you your honest opinion about it, that type of thing I thought meant more than just bringing on someone who's a professional in the
Right.
regard of like they've been around the circuit, done all the conventions, and they give you all the the toe the line type speech
Right.
type thing.
Well, I imagine
Um,
now it's probably a lot easier for us to do those types of things than when
yeah.
you guys were doing them because audio quality and how you guys would connect and all of that
Oh,
was
that was a
still
pain.
it was
Oh,
still very much in the early
you guys,
stages of that. Whereas
you kids have it made
we're
today,
spoiled
man.
now, right?
Oh my gosh. Even if you don't even have to have like the roadcaster thing I have here, it makes it easy too. But
Yeah.
even just using a program like this makes it a heck of a lot easier. So,
Right.
but I got to give you guys credit. You guys, when you came on, you did it the Mike Rondo way. I said this is what we needed to do, and you took that and ran with it, and I appreciate that. Of course, we don't really record that way anymore, so I feel a little bit bad. But anyway, so that's that.
What
All
other
right.
questions do you have for us, Mike?
But that was it, really. I was just. Well, let me ask you this, Jonesy. I'm going to ask you because I know you were nervous as a host.
Oh yeah.
Coming into this
Mhm.
because you'd never done it before, but I saw talent there. It wasn't just the beard. I was saying, pick him, Mike. Pick him. He's like Grogu. I don't know what were you thinking when you said yes and you came into this and I don't know. Is that changed?
Yeah, I want to know too, because I don't know that I know this story. Like, all I remember, and I don't want to preempt you, but I
Yeah.
just remember Mike saying, "Hey, we got somebody else." And I'm like, "Who?" He was like, "Jonesy." I'm like, "Who the hell is Jonesy?" They're like, "Yo, the guy for that." And I was like, "Oh, that guy from Discord." And I'd never spoken to him, never heard anything about him.
You and I high-fived once over Tom Petty, I think.
I think that's we had that Tom Petty moment.
That was why I said these two need to be together. It was
but
Tom Petty.
I don't know like how that all came about. I know you were hot for Mike, but beyond that, was all I remember.
Yeah, so we have to. So yeah, we got to roll back time just a little bit. So over the holidays of those cold
17?
evenings of 2017,
yes,
late at night,
cold.
We were playing Battlefront a lot, right? And so we were playing Battlefront, and the guys would be on there playing, and we'd have other people, and Mike and I would be on, maybe have a couple of cocktails or something. We would just be
a couple.
We'd just be very open and inappropriate to one another in a lot of different ways. So it was just, it was just kind of a weird, like, I'm going to call it like just a banter type of thing. And then it just kind of carried over into Discord, and it was fun, right? We just had a good time, and we were talking back and forth. And I still don't know what compelled Mike to ever reach out to me. I was active in Discord. I think Albert at one point had reached out to me right before this was happening. Was like, "Hey, do you want to be like a moderator on Discord?" Or Mike and Joe might reach out to you to do mod for Discord, because I was there so frequently, and pretty reasonable person in general. So it was really surprising though when you reached out to me, because I'm like, really? Like, hey, have you thought about it? And I was like, well, I've been looking for a hobby. Like I've been complaining about not having a hobby for years. So sure, I'll give it a try. What do I need to do? And I thought I was all big and bad. I had like my Astro 840 headset. I was like, man, this is going to sound great. I don't need equipment, nothing like that. And man, it was garbage. Yeah. You're like, yeah. And I spammed you with audio files and stuff. I was so excited about it and nervous and everything else. But yeah, we did that first. I came on Cantina After Dark, I think was my first one. And that was in February or March of 2018. So, yeah.
Something around that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think late Feb or something. And late January. And so I remember being nervous, and you guys already had a rapport, because you were already doing shows together, and it was really odd to try to insert myself in that. And I was like, man, I'm not prepared for any of this stuff. What's going on? And but yeah, that's
the Cantina Cast way though. Just jump in, whatever happens. The building might burn down, but it'll be fun. Do you still get nervous though? Do you still get the jitters?
Yeah, there's days. There's days where, especially if you don't know that you're really into the topic a lot, like, okay, how am I going to talk about this? And more importantly, how am I going to make this sound semi-interesting? Because we've done some material that was a bit lackluster to read through, and then we've got to somehow make it seem interesting to talk about, right? And find the things that are worthwhile. Now, at the same time, though, those are sometimes the really fun things, though, too, where you find something that you like, and then you can expound upon that. I mean, you guys kind of taught us that through y'all's historical things. If you just find one little thing.
That happened several times in the comics, because I'm not the biggest fan of the comics, or even the novels. I've had you read it and you discuss it, and then you find something that's philosophically or psychology wise, or something that fits in, and you're like, oh, okay, and you can make it into something interesting to talk about. There's even when it's not the greatest Star Wars, there's something in there that you can find and kind of discuss and kind of think about, so to speak. But
and that's what's been so great about working with Albert too, is that, I mean, he's like an encyclopedia, right? So it's great to have someone who can call off so much, but we both are looking at so many of the details within it, and it's cool to be able to kind of say, did you notice that, or did you notice that, and yes or no, or no, I didn't catch that part, and so some of those things, and it kind of makes for a better show in general. And so that's why it's always been a lot of fun working with Albert on it.
And I like the fact that you and I've said this in the show, I think what really works for us is we really don't share each other's notes. Like, and we can I was thinking maybe we get into the weeds on how the sausage is made later. But in terms of how we put the show together, like, you and I don't really, we talk about stuff.
Joe and I did that too.
And it just makes for a better show, right? And then it leads to a natural course of conversation as well, because when he says something that I didn't think about, I'm like, my mind immediately goes to, well, what about this and what about that, right? And so it kind of has a very organic, and I hate to use that word 'cause it's cliche, but it is very organic in terms of the way the conversation flows. So I've always enjoyed that part of it, and I know you and Joe did that because when I came in, it was. I mean, I'm not doing anything different than what you guys were doing, right? When Jonesy and I get together, it's really just kind of carrying on that same formula that I think worked for both of you.
Hmm.
Right. And I remember my first 2 episodes were 231 and 232, which was the Force. Like, Albert and I like, "Hey, we're gonna go big for our first show all alone," right?
Aim
So,
high.
flying solo or flying duo or whatever we were. And so we went and attacked the Force, and I remember being so I've never done so much research for a show in my life. I literally spent 5 straight days. I neglected work because I was just so nervous about it and
Oh,
doing so many like, capturing so many notes and everything else. And, because I knew if we got it wrong, we would just be laughed out of the place because so many people have a very strong opinion and a strong
oh,
relation with what they
yes.
believe about it. And to be able to the feedback we got on it though was really humbling, and it really helped because we got a lot of positive feedback that we kind of did it, and we looked at it from a variety of angles. So it wasn't pushing an agenda of sorts or pushing our thought process. It was really, again, kind of carrying on the legacy of expanding the thought and asking questions and those types of things. And when I think back about it, that's probably still one of my favorite episodes that Albert and I have done together.
Well,
Um,
I got a follow up then
yeah,
because now, and this is what I was struggling with as like 2017 happened and like the Rise of Skywalker and all that came out and everything, and
or Last Jedi. Yeah,
well, the Last Jedi and
yeah,
the Rise has it
yeah.
progressed, and then we're getting all these shows and comics and novels. Even then, I could see like how does one keep up with all of that? Like you're gonna do a show and you're gonna dive into things, right? Like on the Force. Now you get so much to go. Like you're like we're gonna miss some stuff. You got to
Right.
kind of accept that now. I would assume, right?
Well, yeah,
Jonesy,
when
you can't.
Albert might want to take this one because him and I have
Yep.
talked about this when we had a lot of things going all at once. When was this? Was this 20? I think at the end of 2018, maybe we had
Mhm.
so many, or end of 2019 rather. We had so many things going on with Rise of Skywalker. We had Mandalorian going
Oh yeah.
on,
Yep.
and then I think there were one or two other things, and we were just trying to fit it all in.
Yeah.
And but I mean, it's a balancing act. You want to take that one, Albert?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say it, and I remember Jonesy and I having this conversation, if they do any more than this, we're gonna be really kind of in a bind in terms of how do we stay up on top of all this, right? And how do we
Yeah.
consume it all? Because there's only so many hours in the day, and he and I both have,
Families.
careers and
Yep.
families and everything else.
And
It's
friends.
just
Yeah. This goes back to what I said earlier.
it's very difficult to keep up with it and stay on top of it and feel like you are, being relevant and you have something to contribute. Thankfully, we're not there yet. I still have like nightmares of what's going to happen when all of these shows are going on simultaneously, and are we going to have to hire more people to come on and do the show, or what? But
Won't
yeah,
be
I
me
mean,
though.
it is yeah, well, no, but it is a challenge, and it continues to be a challenge. And we've gotten into more things than I think you guys did originally because we're covering books and we're covering
Yeah. It's
comics,
more.
and there's more stuff out there as well, right? All the
Yeah.
television that's out there, the movies, and there's
It's more relevant now too than
yeah,
it ever has been. Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah,
it
because
was
there's little things that you pick up in one that lead to something else that's like in a movie or a show or whatever that was happening. I get all that. We had that to a degree until recently. Now it's just like it's exploded, right? So and then now you're gonna have Andor, you're gonna have Kenobi, and you get the Bad Batch going on, and Mandalorian, and then Book of Boba. And how do you juggle all that? I mean, even for me, it's crazy because I guess like if you were gonna dive into a like the Force again, now it's like, well, we gotta wait to see what happens with that, and even with the Bad Batch, I
Yeah.
feel like it's like you can never. I felt this way plenty of times where like you're doing a subject like on Darth Vader, the breakdown of Darth Vader. Well, now at some point, I hope you guys go back and break it all down again because things are changing, right? We got
yeah,
more
Yeah.
information. There's a lot more going on now, and it's more. I mean, that's gonna be what, a 20-part series now at this
at
point. I
least
mean,
yeah.
we did what, 7, 8 episodes of that? This will be 20 now, where you guys go back and break it down or whatever, but, I feel like there's like you said, you got your family, you got work, you got other interests, and then to sit down and read all these things, it's very hard to balance all that, and I don't know how you do it, but I give you,
You do know how we do it. You did it for a long time.
Yeah, I did, but
Yeah.
not like this is different now. This is another gear you got to hit to do what you guys do now. So, we were very limited because they were rolling it out slowly. And
Right.
I remember complaining about them, like, just give us this stuff, like all these things. And like, I remember complaining about with Aftermath, with the acolytes and all these other things, like, well, we're giving you this, and then the payoff won't be till 10 years down the
Right.
line. And I used to
Yeah.
say, no, give it to me like 5 months from now or something. I'm not going to wait 10 years and be like, in a movie theater and say, wow, that was a great payoff. Give it to me now. I remember complaining about that. So,
Have they paid off on the Alkalites? I don't think so.
I don't know. They never went there. There's a lot of things
Well,
that didn't.
We'll see with this new TV show, though.
We'll
Yeah,
see.
right.
We'll see.
Right.
We'll see. We shall. That's
This will
another one. I
begin to make
forgot all
things
about
right.
that. I forgot all about that one as well. And then to get the Rangers and all this other. Good luck, guys. That's all I can say.
So can I tell my story about how I got in?
Oh yeah.
No one's asked me, but
I'm sorry.
Albert,
Yeah.
how'd you get involved with it?
Yeah,
How did
you
Albert?
get
How
involved,
did
Albert?
Mike approach you?
I
How did
said,
he
Albert,
tackle
do the
you
show.
and
No, I just
force you into
here.
submission?
I said, Albert, you just do it.
No, that's not at all what happened. So my first show was episode 221 or no, 201. What day was that now? 201, October 3rd, 2017. But before that, I was doing the Discord stuff, and I was like one of the first ones. By the way, Discord, I looked it up for this show. If anybody's watching, playing at home, that very first Discord message was July 11th, 2017, and it was on the old Cantina Cast server. Today we're on the EGM server, but that was the first one. I was not the first poster. I know that's shocking for anybody because I try to be the first one on any time a channel's stood up.
You are obnoxious with that.
I'm pretty obnoxious about it. But no, I can't take that credit. My mother's name is taken was the first one. I was the third one to post though. So I'm happy at least I was in the top 3. But I was in Discord because I was playing Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes and I had Discord for that. I had never used Discord before. And again, kind of like you and everybody else that tends to join, you hear the plug on the show, hey, come join us on Discord. We're talking about Star Wars. And much like Jonesy, I was like, okay, fine. I mean, here's my opportunity to really get back at these guys and for all the crap I've had to put up with them. And I joined into Discord, and it was just me being active more than anything. And the way I got in, and Mike, I don't know if you remember this, you guys were testing something. Oh, it was Cast.
Yes.
So it's an application that we used to use. Petticoats and Poppies still uses it as part of EGM, but we used to use that to record the shows. And Joe and Mike were experimenting. And they posted something in Discord one night. It was like, I don't know, 11 at night or something like that. It was really late. And they said, hey, we need to test something. Is there anybody in Discord that'd be willing to kind of jump on and just do a quick check for you? And I didn't have anything going on. And I had a crappy microphone or little headset thing going on. I was like, hey, yeah, I'll do it. Just tell me what I need to do. They sent me the link. I jumped in there and I didn't know what to expect. They were just like, hey, can you hear us? I said, yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead and say something. So I started saying something. And when I was done, I think it was Mike who said, okay, cool. Thanks for all your help. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm leaving, jerk face. So I logged off. And about a week.
Charming.
Oh, man, you have no idea, guys.
Yeah, I'm very charming.
About a week later, I think Joe reached out to me and he was like, hey, have you ever thought about doing podcasting? And kind of like you, Jonesy, I was like, no, I've never even considered it. Although I used to do a voice at SeaWorld, but that's another story. I said, I've never done anything like this. I said, but I'd be interested in coming on to the show if you guys are looking for help. And he's like, yeah, for sure. Okay, so here's what you got to do. We just need you to come up with a show topic and come up with your show notes and then send them to us and we'll get you on. I thought, what a bum deal this is. Like I have to do all the work. Like they invited me onto the show and they wanted me to pick a topic. They wanted me to come up with the talking points in the show notes, which I've kind of done to other people too now because it works and I get why they did it. But so I didn't know what to talk about. I'm like, well, crap, I don't know. So then I went to the back catalog and looked at everything they had discussed. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to talk about what like the most intriguing thing about Star Wars to me. And it's really about family attachments. Because at the heart of it, for me, Star Wars has always been about family. It's about mothers and fathers and relationships with children and all of that. And I felt like that was something that hadn't really truly been discussed in any kind of great detail. And so that was what I pitched to them. I don't think either one of them looked at the show notes because when we ended up talking about it, it was kind of all over the place. But it was enough that I think they were at least interested and realized that, hey, this person at least has the interest and the want to try to do this more. And so that was That's kind of how I got in. Although you introduced me as the maintenance man. Do you remember that too?
I do remember that.
You called me the maintenance man. I thought, okay, what is it? Is it the color of my skin? What's going on here? Why are you calling me?
It wasn't even.
That was
No,
part of
I
your,
know,
that
it's
was part of
not.
your Discord name for a while too.
It was.
wasn't it?
I think I
That
changed it
didn't
'cause
even, it didn't even register on my head until after you pointed out. I'm like, oh, you idiot.
well,
you
I made the
dumbbell.
joke of it. I made the
know.
joke. So
I know, but it's like, duh. Like, why didn't you even think of that? I'm just thinking, no, because you were doing the jack of all trades.
I was
in
like,
Discord.
I was going in Discord, cleaning up rooms and putting the about and doing stuff that, I mean, you guys just kind of threw it together and were like, cool, we have a way to talk. And I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, no, we've got 15 other things we've got to get done before we do anything here, right? And so I was just trying to get stuff done for you all. And so that kind of gave me that moniker of a maintenance man or maintenance guy or whatever it was. But yeah, that's kind of how it started. And then from there, I don't know. And then I didn't hear back from you like for weeks, like nothing, like dead silent radio silence. And I thought, well, that was fun.
That was great. These guys are class act.
Yes.
Yeah.
Use me to come on and test something, then use me for one of their show contents, and then kick me to the curb.
Yep. That's a reputation.
But that's how it all started.
Yes. But all right. So
and I've been bitter ever since.
Well,
I mean, better. I've been better ever since. Sorry, not bitter. It was the Freudian slip there.
Yeah, sure. So what's been the highlight for you two?
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Jonesy.
curious. What's
Jonesy's
there have actually been several. You were talking about Celebration earlier, and I think when we went to Celebration, it was not only was it a really awesome experience of being there with so many Star Wars, like only all focused on Star Wars, but seeing you guys and the rest of the EGM folks and the podcasters. I mean, so Albert and I had one of those moments like you did that was just surreal and over the top. And I think I've told this story once or twice, but we had two different people kind of do this. But this guy walked up to us, and we're at the podcast meetup. So there's a bunch of other podcasts there and whatnot, and people mingling around. And this guy who had a few too many cocktails for the evening, came up and was like, "Hey, you're Jonesy from the Cantina Cast." I was like, "Yeah, Albert's right here too." If you want to say, "No, man, I'm not worthy, man. You guys are amazing." Literally bowing.
Yeah,
in front of us.
I never get that. So I mean, that's pretty cool.
Now it was pretty lit, to be fair.
Yeah.
But it was just really weird, like getting noticed. And when we did the podcast stage, just that people would want to come and watch us, it's just weird. I mean, it like, I don't know how you guys thought, like how you guys felt when you actually recognized that, wow, people actually kind of want to hear what we have to say for some unknown reason. But it was just,
crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, so Celebration was a good one, even though it was kind of a beginning of a tough time for me. But man, so that was really great. I always loved Discord though. And we've had a few shows that just always like stick out. And the Force one I talked about earlier is one of the main ones that did. But anytime I always loved, I love Q&A shows. I think those are the most fun.
I hate those shows.
They're easier too. You
Yeah,
don't have to
well, I
plan
know
as
that.
much.
That's probably why I don't like them. I don't know.
But they're so much fun. I mean, you get some questions sometimes that are interesting.
To be honest, they always turn out to be good shows. For some reason, I just don't like them. I don't know what my problem is. I never liked them. It's like the guest thing. Like it's just something that's stuck in my head that makes no sense.
See, it's like Discord though, right? So we joined Discord to talk to you guys because you guys are famous, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those times that you had a chance to have your name called out to billions and billions of people, that listen to your show, and actually be able to ask a question and have someone talk about it is pretty neat. And then then go tell them how wrong they were about how they analyzed your stuff after the fact.
Yeah.
But they're just fun because they invite a lot of candid conversation. I think Albert was mentioning this earlier, where we don't share a lot of thoughts before we go on the air. Right before we go on the air, we'll usually toss a few things back and forth.
Yeah.
But other than that, we don't really know the crux of what each of our stances are on a lot of things, and that's what I like about the Q&A is that they just open up for candid conversation, and sometimes they evolve into different things. They're just a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that was kind of the springboard from a certain point of view, right? I mean, we realized that and acknowledge that some of the questions that come in are really good questions, and they do warrant a heavier conversation more than just, oh, let me give you a 5-minute kind of answer thing. And we've been I think it's been successful, and we've had some great hosts on, co-hosts, guests, and we've got some more lined up. And this has gotten kind of in the way of a lot of that stuff. So we've got some more stuff coming. But
my fault.
no. It's it is. But it was, there are some really good stuff out there, and credit to our listeners and supporters, right? I mean, it's kind of an echo chamber. We're hearing from them the questions that we, Jonesy and and I think most people heard from you guys, and the feedback that you guys would give, and the questions and the thought provoking stuff. I think it kind of keeps going back to that, right? And a lot of that is, I think what's, like Jonesy said, is what makes those some of the better shows, is that there's just a lot there, and there are things that we don't think about. It's getting other people's perspectives and views and opinions on things, and kind of spinning that and waxing whatever we've got to go with it, which is really kind of cool.
And I still believe it to this day. I always thought you guys had some of the smartest, like most like thought, for lack of whatever, thought provoking listeners that were out there, because there were some people who had really
great questions. Yeah.
Great questions and great conversations, and just really smart people, intelligent people. And then when you mix that with their passion for Star Wars, you get this really cool mix of really well thought out explanations for things, or ideas about and alternative ways of thinking too. And it's just it's a community that I've not seen quite like you guys have bred for the last, at least for the last 4 years now that I've been a part of it, really anywhere else in the other communities, that you guys acknowledge all of that and kind of started that. And Albert and I felt passionate about taking that and carrying that forward, and making sure that people had a voice in what we do. And that's why we like to read reviews and like to have all the questions that we do, and mention people's names on air, because it's just fun. It's fun for people to hear their names on, they get mentioned too.
Very true. Albert, what was your favorite moment here, sir? What do you have a?
Yeah, we'll come back to that here in a second, because it was just what we were talking about here in the shadow. I've got a few favorite moments. So I think
the day Mike retired the first time.
Yeah. No, the third time.
That's mine.
The third time was my favorite.
Okay. Well, that's tonight, isn't it? Or is that?
I think it is the third time.
Fifth?
I have to take my shoes off to count. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Let's see. So Celebration, definitely. I mean, it's kind of hard to top that, right? I mean, being at the Super Bowl, if you will, for podcasters, and being on stage, and just that whole experience, like you've already talked about, just meeting people that had listened to the show, or were inspired to do their own show, inspired to do something. All of that is just super humbling and completely unexpected. So the fact that we get to do this every week, and as a hobby, and just be there with people to kind of celebrate Star Wars, and help them think about Star Wars. And I know I've heard this so many times, that this show is kind of it's a release, it's an escape for people, as is Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars is kind of escapism for a lot of folks, and to have that for the show to be just an extension of that is, I mean, come on, you can't ask for anything more for people to kind of be that interested in what you have to say, because they see it as a way to get away from whatever they're dealing with in the moment, right? So that is just beyond words for me. But beyond that, I would say one of my favorite moments, I don't know if it's I'm going to call it one of my favorite moments of the show. So Mike Rondo.
Oh, boy.
Do you remember when, after we recorded that episode...
I'm in trouble.
So after we recorded that first episode, I noticed that the show had not been released, and it had already been like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days or something after we had recorded. Again, I didn't hear anything. No one was talking to me about when the show was going to come out. And I'm sitting there going, what the? So I reached out to Joa, and I'm like, hey, I mean, I don't want to be a jerk or anything, but you remember that show? You remember the show we just recorded, the three of us?
It was amazing and awesome.
Yeah, and I'm like, I've told my family about it. I've got people set to listen to it, right? And I've not heard a single thing about this. And he just responds back in Discord. He's like, well, go check with Mike. And I'm like, well, I've never really messaged Mike. I've never spoken to him outside of that one stupid test that we did that I was bitter about, and the show that I just did that I'd never heard anything about. And so I ping Mike, and I'm like, crap, this guy, I don't know anything about him. I don't know what he's going to respond to. He's going to think I'm coming across as being pushy. And I said, hey, Mike, when is that show going to get released? That, when is the episode going to get
like this? Yeah.
And Mike, tell the viewers what you responded back with.
I said, when it's done.
That's it.
That's it.
When it's done. And I thought,
that's Mike Rondo in a nutshell.
And I thought, okay, what a jerk that this is.
First off, this is what you didn't understand, though, Albert. As editing back then, we had 3 separate tracks, and I had to line them up, and I had to
oh my goodness,
certain thing. Yeah,
you would have if you'd have given me that line like 3 years ago, I'd have been like, okay, I don't know anything about it, but no, sir, I've edited my fair share of shows now. That's not that hard. But go on, please, humor me.
That's all I had really for my excuse, but
it became a running joke for the longest time, though.
So now, anytime you ask Mike about anything, it doesn't have to be related to the topic.
When it's done,
his response is when it's done. So, yep. I knew that. I should have known that
from BioWare. When it's done, that's what they used to say all the time.
Yeah, same thing with like Blizzard. It's kind of like whenever we get around to it.
When we get to it, we get to it.
But yeah, that was good. I think so my first show was certainly a highlight for me. Just kind of being exposed to that and feeling like, wow, that was kind of cool. I really enjoyed doing that, and that I could see myself doing more of that. Of course, my confidence was completely shot because I never heard back from them again after a few weeks. But
this is our way of molding you guys and shaping you to be tough, to
toughen me up, right?
Toughen you up for the trials and tribulations that is the Cantina Cast.
Yes,
and it worked. Look
it did
today. See,
it did work. I do like, even though technical issues aside, I really enjoyed what we did just a couple weeks ago with the May the 4th be with y'all. That was a really cool moment to just be able to merge a charity benefit, kind of a charity event, with what we were doing on the show, and being able to use the tool that we're using tonight to record and kind of interweave that. Again, we had some technical issues that we've already talked through. We know exactly why they happened now, but just being part of all of that, and having Steph there, and all the people that we met. Johnny's with us, I think, tonight. He was a big part of that, part of silverlakecreative.org. That was a really cool experience, and it really opened our eyes to what more could be done here next year. And so hopefully that'll continue to build momentum.
Now, speaking of 10 years, like if you go back in the Wayback Machine, 10 years, even 5 years ago, to be able to do what you tried to do, or you did, basically, you had your difficulties. Technical difficulties happens no matter what. Podcast stage or whatever, they happen, but you do learn from them, and you experienced, and you'll work those bugs out. But
right,
like to be able to do what you guys did like 5 years ago, that we would never be able to achieve that here on the show. So this is a tribute to you guys, is that you're taking it from where we were. We made the foundation. Now you guys are building the house and the roof and everything else, and you guys are going beyond what we initially had started, and now you're branching out and doing these awesome things, and it's pretty cool to see. I'm pretty proud of you guys, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm not always mean. See, sometimes I'm nice.
Sometimes you're nice.
We'll see how the rest of the show goes.
Yeah,
that's true. All right.
Okay. Well, I think we're done with the questions. Enough, patting each other on the back.
Yeah. Great session.
No, it was a good therapy session, I think, for all of us. But yeah, let's do this. Let's get into the game. So
this is making me nervous.
Jonesy has a game here for you, Mike. And
is this a drinking game?
No,
you may want to get liquored up for this if you're playing at home.
Right. So, Mike, need you to raise your right hand. Say, I, Michael Rondo.
I'm not saying all this.
Yeah.
Why?
Swear to answer every one of these questions.
I am not answering any of these questions. No.
Answer all of them, Michael.
I plead the fifth.
All right, then you're writing the show notes for next week.
Okay.
All right. So this is gonna be a game of which do you prefer. Okay. So I'm gonna give you 2 things. I just want you to pick which one your favorite is. All right.
Okay. All right.
All right. It's easy enough.
First one. Porgs or Ewoks?
Ewoks.
Caravan of Courage or the Battle for Endor?
Can I do I have another option, sir?
Caravan of Courage or the Battle for Endor?
The Battle of Endor.
Battle for Endor. Mara Jade or Raylo?
Mara.
Wow.
That was a hard one.
You heard he didn't even hesitate.
I know, that's very true.
All right. Yoder's walking stick or Luke's walking stick?
Yoder.
That's a beautiful one. I want to cry. I'll go with Luke.
All right. Which era of Palpatine? Prequel, original, or sequel trilogy?
The sequel trilogy, Palpatine doesn't exist. So I will go with prequel trilogy.
Okay. Oh, wow. Interesting. Albert's facial hair or Pedro Pascal's facial hair?
Both lacking.
Albert's much more handsome.
Oh, well, thank you.
No,
why? Can I get you a drink?
Well, he's getting that
yes,
salt
you
and pepper
may.
going. It is very, very distinguished.
It is.
Okay, which are you more excited for, Mando season 3 or Book of Boba?
Book of Boba.
All right, Cantina Cast 2011 or Cantina Cast 2021?
Oh, 2021.
Oh,
very easy.
All right, Biggs in a Speedo or Porkins in a Speedo?
Porkins. I mean, come on.
Wow, no hesitation on that one.
The Old Republic or the High Republic?
The Old Republic. High Republic.
Wow. Wow, Albert. So not only did we get a Mara Jade, but now we've also got an Old Republic. Who is
I know.
this
Who
Mike
would have
Rondo?
thought? I don't even know this person.
I feel like he's really grown as a person today. This is really exciting. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, so
Great.
which of these characters that we don't really have a backstory do you prefer? Plagueis or Snoke?
Plagueis.
I figured that was it. Okay, Ewoks cartoon or the Droids cartoon?
There's no question in this one, but
I'll take the Ewoks.
The Ewoks.
Yeah.
All right. And the
Droids are
last
terrible.
question, Star Wars Holiday Special or the Cantina Cast Holiday Special?
Well, the Star Wars Holiday Special is better than the Cantina Cast one.
Wow, it's that bad?
Oh, yeah. It's
So-
awful.
For those that don't know,
No, we
there-
don't need to know.
there is a Cantina Cast Holiday Special that has not been released. And it
was for a short
Oh, did it
time.
actually get published?
Yes.
Okay.
Briefly.
I was not on that, by the way.
No, this was several years ago. And apparently it, I don't even know how. Mike, you want to tell us about the Cantina Cast Holiday Special?
No, save it for the Patreon exclusive stuff.
That's right.
we won't.
The money's flooding in.
All
now.
I can say is I think I defended Jar Jar Binks very well. I'll just leave it at that.
Wow.
That you had to says a lot.
All right. So if you want Mike to open up the vault of the lost 21 episodes plus the Cantina Cast Holiday Special,
No, never happened.
patreon.com/the Cantina Cast.
If you can get $1 million together, I will do it.
I'm going to set this GoFundMe up tonight.
It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen.
All right. Thank you for playing, Mike. Nice job.
That wasn't
Yeah,
bad. I thought it
wasn't
was gonna
bad.
be-
No, it was just more fun than anything else.
I thought it was going to be far worse.
No, that's Albert.
Oh,
Yep. Next
Oh.
up is my game.
Oh boy.
Okay, so we'll try to make this short and quick. So there
Which
was
won't be.
a game. You guys did a lot of things. I know you guys threw a lot of stuff on the wall a long time ago, and I remember when I first started listening, you used to play this game, and I don't know that it ever lasted. I don't know how people liked it. I liked it. I thought it was fun, and it made me think, and I was always interested to hear what you guys had to say. It was the game about, I'm going to give you a word. You remember this? And then you got to tell me the
Vaguely.
first word that pops into your mind.
Oh, vaguely. Yeah, I vaguely remember this.
So you and Joe would do this, and
Yeah.
I could tell you hated it.
yeah.
So we're gonna
yeah.
do it again.
Great.
But
Thanks.
this time I want you and Jonesy to do it. But I want you to in the chat that we use, the private chat, send me
Yeah.
your responses. Okay, because I want to.
I don't
I'm
have a
gonna read them
keyboard.
back.
I don't have a keyboard. In front
What?
of me.
Oh my goodness. Okay, then never mind. We'll just do them vocally. We'll do the
All
first
right.
words that come to
All right.
mind. Okay. All right. So I've got 12 words here from Star Wars, and again, I'm going to say them, and I want you to just impulsively give me the first thing that comes to mind. Okay.
You go first, Mike, then I'll go, and we'll just go that route.
Yep.
All right. All right.
All right. The first word is Jawa.
Disgusting.
Glowing eyes.
Glowing eyes. Okay. I can see the disgusting. I see the glowing eyes. Why disgusting though?
I don't know. I just thinking of C-3PO. You know.
What? Disgusting?
Yeah,
he says
disgusting creatures.
Yeah, that's what
Oh,
he says.
his line. Yeah. Disgusting creatures. Yeah. Okay.
Jeez,
All right.
Albert,
Next
come
word.
on.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying glowing eyes, C-3PO, but no, I got you. All right.
No.
Next word is Anakin.
Cool.
Murderer.
Well,
Is he really though? Yeah.
yeah,
Yes,
he
he
is.
is.
Yes, he is.
He's not going to get away from it.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a little deep one for you guys. The Force.
Powerful.
Mystical. Yeah.
All right. I'll take both of them. I think there's no explanation needed on those. Mystical. Leia.
That was the better answer. Leia? Metal bikini.
Oh my
Sorry, I
god!
couldn't-
You
I couldn't-
disgusting pig. No, I'm kidding.
Mine
I
was
couldn't-
princess. So
Oh,
Sorry.
Why did metal bikini come to mind, Mike?
I no idea. It's late at night. What do you want
Oh,
from
boy.
me? I'm
Yeah.
half
I
asleep.
thought this was starting a story.
No,
Yeah.
no. We're not going there.
Okay, Mike. Next word is Grogu.
Baby Yoda.
Can't talk. I don't even. always bothered me. Can't talk. Gaga goo goo.
You know what's great though is that he's gone now. That's what's great.
No, he's back.
He's coming back, just like you.
He's coming back.
Bye.
He'll be gone. Like I guarantee, he'll be gone like the first 3 episodes, but he'll get back in. And
he'll be there.
He's in forever.
Season finale, he'll come back.
No, they won't draw it out that long.
No.
Okay, next word. Next word. And this one may be a little tough, but phasma.
Disappointment.
Battlefront.
Battlefront.
Because it was my name. I just,
That's right. What was it? It was
Phasma Lover.
Phasma's Lover. What 66. In the world? Yeah, 66 of all things. Which. Okay, so what? Where did that come from?
Well, 66. Order.
No,
66,
I get that, but Phasma's Lover, really?
Because I like Gwendolyn Christie.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Oh, I had no idea.
Okay, well, this game's been a success because I was hoping to learn one thing out of it, and that was the first time. All right, next word is, and I already know what Mike's going to be saying on this one. Ezra. I'm writing disappointment, so you don't have to.
Yeah, thank you. That works. That works.
Jonesy, what about you?
Wispy hair, actually, of all the things I remember. Anytime someone mentions Ezra,
the little front in the front.
Yeah, like he'd be out on the balcony, at his little lookout, and the wind would blow, and his hair would kind of, sweep across before he buzzed it. Interesting.
I would say a letdown, to be honest, because they went from that he's going to turn Doc, he's not going to turn Doc, like that whole thing, and now he's off doing whatever. So who knows? So we'll see.
All right, I only got 2, 4, 5 more words.
Oh, great.
Okay, next word is Luke.
Awesome.
Yeah, amazing.
The greatest.
Oh, amazing. All right. Next word is Empire.
Powerful.
Yeah, iconic, actually. Yeah.
I can see
everything that goes with it. Yeah.
All right, here's a really good one. Firm scissor punch.
Albert Padilla.
Useless and Albert Padilla. Those 2 words have never gone better together than right now.
Listen, I didn't say Albert. I just, wasn't me.
Okay, next one. Ray.
Oh boy. Go. Mike's going to speak for both of us on this one. No, wait, no, don't do that.
I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, okay.
Skywalker.
Actually, Palpatine.
Palpatine.
She chose her name.
Yeah,
okay. Palpatine. Okay, and the last word.
Yeah,
the last
before
word.
This opens up a can of worms.
Oh, yeah. And I saved the best for last. The last word is Mara Jade.
The redhead I hate the most. And I love all of them. Except for that one.
Jonesy?
Rondo's lover.
Well, that's, it kind of flamed out there at the end, but you know what? We got one good thing out of it. So, all right, that was it. There wasn't much there. I didn't want to I didn't mean to scare you guys if you guys were scared at all, but.
No.
Where are we in this thing? Let's do the Ask Us Anything thing. I mean, we've got some people that have popped in. We can't spend a lot of time on this because I want to limit this to like an hour and a half. So we got about 12 minutes left. We'll continue on with the show, but if you have questions or this is your opportunity before Mike goes away into the ether forever. Here's your opportunity to ask him questions, or if you want to ask us questions, you can. But whatever.
Albert and Jonesy are gonna cross their microphones, and I'm going to be obliterated like Palpatine.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
It'll be the end of me.
We are all the podcasters.
And the old Cantina Cast will be dead forever.
Oh, okay. So that, if anybody's got anything, feel free to throw it up.
Yeah, and while they're doing that, Brian Whitesell shared a story with us, kind of what his Cantina Cast journey was. So as we're waiting for some questions, I'll just summarize this real quick. So him and his wife about 5 years ago were traveling around Germany, and they had their first son. About a year later, an EGM was formed, and another podcast was formed called The Basement. And so he had joined Discord, and Albert gave him a shout on The Basement, and he said it felt so great and it felt like a family. And so he still has those episodes saved, and now he has kids, so he could share that with them. But the bottom line is that it feels like a family, and he's not met anyone in person, at least not yet. but it feels like getting together with old friends, and so it's very, very kind words, Brian. Thank you.
No, and I remember that too, because I remember when he had the baby, we went out of our way to congratulate him, because I think we were on the air that day. And keep me honest here if I'm remembering this incorrectly, but I think that day that they had the baby, we were on the air. Or if it was not that day, it was like right afterwards. And so everybody, and we all knew each other in Discord. But we were so excited because this was his first kid, and he's posting pictures and stuff, and that's kind of it speaks to the family aspect, and just how much a lot of the folks that we've come to know in Discord, because we're in there and talking about a lot more than Star Wars sometimes, right? We're talking about personal achievements and milestones like this. That all kind of surfaces, and so it's kind of created a whole family atmosphere. So,
all right, Johnny's got one. If you could own any ship, which would it be?
Slave One.
What about you, Albert?
Falcon.
Yeah, I'd have to go with no, actually I'd go with an X-Wing, I think. Falcon's a really close second, though. Really close second.
Yeah, I've teetered back and forth on this one many times about which ship is, but Falcon's kind of iconic, and X-Wing is up there for me too, by the way. So just to be able to have my own.
Good question. Twan has a really good question.
He's getting ahead of himself.
I like that one. I like that question.
All right, so Twan asks, we know that Mike says that he is done with the Cantina Cast. No, he's not. But how much longer will Albert and Jonesy carry the torch?
I have visions of this.
You have visions?
Wow. Visions? See, what in the world?
Yeah, so what's going to happen is our kids are all going to get together and continue this in 10 years from now. And you guys can finally retire, and then it just lives on, and it'll never die. It's like
hell, Albert have a whole production staff.
Exactly. The Cantina Cast is like the Darth Maul of Star Wars podcasting. You can't kill it.
Yep.
It's just,
cut it in half.
I've tried. It just will not go away.
It will not go away. For the phasma too.
Yes, it'll stick to you.
I don't know, Jonesy.
Till we get, I don't know. We've been riding this thing until we're old and gray. I guess we'll just quote Weird Al. But I'm already there, I guess. So
yeah, so Jonesy's got about another 90 days. I have no, I'm kidding. I don't know. Like, this is
doesn't really cross our mind to like.
No, and I will say this too. Like, Mike is always got good advice, and we give him a hard time on a lot of crap. Mike's done a lot. He's been through a lot. He knows a lot. And so, and I mean that in seriousness. You do have a lot of great advice at times. And the one thing that you said that always stuck with me is that when you're doing the show, there's going to be times when it's going to get in the way, and things are going to be wearing down on you. And we've kind of talked about this or hinted at it, right? There's things that are going on in our personal lives. The show can sometimes feel like a burden because it's just that clock's always there, right? It's always, we've got to get the next show. We've got to get the content going. We've got to get show notes going, promotions and all this stuff. And we've got Patreon members that are wanting content and stuff. So the pressure can build on you to kind of be able to produce. And I know you said at times it's going to feel like, hey, it's tough and you don't want to go through with that. And I can't say that I've been there. I'm not saying that won't ever happen. But I do feel blessed to be able to come on and do this every, week after week. And yes, it is hard. There are things that we've got to get done, and we've got commitments that we've got to upheld for the listeners and our supporters and all of that. But that is on foremost on my mind, and I think about it a lot when I'm thinking about like how much longer am I going to do this? And I would say when it gets to the point where it feels like it's no longer fun, and it feels like it's just a burden, and it's just something I dread doing every week, then I think that's for me to kind of take the Mike Rondo approach and say, you know what, this probably needs to be passed on to somebody else, right? I probably need to remove myself, step back, because the show is bigger than me, and I acknowledge that it really is. I feel that way. You can't do something for 10 years. Yeah, you can't do something for 10 years and credit one person, right? As much as you came up with the idea, and this speaks to what we've been trying to do. I was having this conversation with Becca. What I was trying to do with the 10-year anniversary, what Jonesy and I were trying to do with the 10-year anniversary is really acknowledge that it took a lot of people to get here, right? It's everything from the listeners and supporters to all the contributors on the blogs to the people that used to be podcast hosts, and the support. Everybody that's had a hand in all this has contributed to the success of the show. And it's really not my show any more than it's Jonesy's show or Mike's show, right? There's something here that needs to kind of continue and go along. So, and I'm probably speaking way out of turn here, but it just feels like this does need to go on. And so getting back to the question, for me, I think it's just going to be whenever I feel like I've already hit that limit, and I'm not really, the spirit is gone for me, I guess, at that point, and I'll just pass it on to somebody else.
That's a great point. I think if it's not enjoyable, why are you doing it in the first place? It's not a job, even if it feels like a job from time to time. But I mean, it's one of those things. If you can, as long as we've got interesting things to talk about, I mean, that is a big part of it too, right? When it gets really hard is when there's these gaps in between content, and I know you felt this, Mike, for a long stretch where, like, what are we going to talk about? We've talked about everything, and Albert and I have had these conversations too, and now we're really fortunate to have a much clearer path of, wow, this show is set for the next 3 years basically with content we can pick and choose from and go back, and if we miss this, then we can go and pick it up later on. And it was something we've always enjoyed about when we have kind of this deluge of content, is that, okay, patience, let's pick the stuff that we think is most interesting, and then we'll go back and fill in some of the gaps a little bit later. And I think that's why we enjoyed the books and the comics. And this was before really they were all integrated so much that they were just there to ancillary material, and you can pick up new little things that are just fun and interesting. And so as long as you like digging into it, there's always going to be someone here at the Cantina Cast to do it for you and do it with you.
Yeah, I mean, what a blessing, right? To have this much content to be able to talk about. I mean, there's plenty to do at this point, so we'll never run out of it.
Yep.
No, that's a good question. What else? What else do you guys want to talk about? Anything else?
I don't know. What's the future of the show look like, Mike?
Well, you guys are changing the name. Albert's got everything all worked out.
Yes, I'm going to roll the new logo and new intro and outro here in just a minute.
Yes, so this is done. Like, I was serious when I meant the Cantina Cast is dead. It's over. It's over. Go on. Go home. Nothing to see here anymore.
I'm like having an existential crisis right now.
You're still here?
I'm going to have to buy new shirts.
Here? It's time to go. Leave. It's over. It's done.
Wow.
No, I'm only kidding. Here? You guys are still hosting. You guys get the keys. Do what you want. I trust you guys. You know what you're doing. But to go back to what you were saying, Albert, it's funny because when we first started this, there was no real goal of like success or anything. Just kind of sitting around BSing, talking Star Wars and the Old Republic or whatever. And as the second wave of the show started, and we went 100 miles an hour, and as you get to like the Rogue One thing, going back to that when it blew up again, it kind of made me realize the formula of what we do in the heart of the show is what matters. Not me, not Joa, not sure. All that matters in the sense that it got the show to where it is, right? And built upon it. And the show was built from the ground up with everybody that's ever been involved, with Becca, the bloggers, and all the co-hosts and everything, and even the guests that come on and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's bigger than I ever was. And it's almost like with George, when he made Star Wars, and at some point he came to the realization, well, this is way bigger than me, so I got to pass it on. And it's kind of the same thing. And at some point when we have to get there, when we get there in 100 years with you and Jonesy, we'll get there. But for now, you guys roll with it. You're doing better than it's ever been. So, and I'm very proud of you guys. So, hey, the future's bright for the Cantina Cast because I'm not going to be involved with it. That's why it's going to go. It's going to be great now. Anything I'm not involved with is perfect. Anyway.
Well, Jonesy, what about you? What's do you want to maybe let's talk about some of the stuff that we've got planned? I know I don't think we wrote anything down on this.
No, we didn't. I was looking for that. It was like,
and that is exactly how the show runs.
This is how
it went.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right on cue.
Yeah. Well, like Albert said, we really are re-upping our commitment to doing the Patreon type of content. It means a lot to us. I know I love doing Cantina After Dark. We've done some other shows hit and miss here and there, but we are going to start focusing more on that again and putting things out there more regularly, whether it's interview type of shows or a variety of things. And Albert probably has a couple off the top of his head. He's always got fantastic ideas. So I think you're going to get a lot of that. You're going to get a lot of the things that you're used to, and hopefully you guys enjoy though too. I mean, we're still going to cover the content in the same types of ways that we have. We're going to keep branching out and trying different things though, just like with the alumni thing. And it's been a really cool idea, and getting other voices on the show. I think that's what we want to continue to do and continue to grow it, continue to get different perspectives on the show and different ways of thinking too. And I think rather than just the two of us or the three of us getting on here every once in a while, having someone else come in and do it. And I know when I was out, Albert had special guests on, and those were always fantastic to hear. And some of the people that were on here really are really cool people, and so we'll start to hear some new voices and things like that. We're not going anywhere, so don't get worried about that. But so there's
just me that's leaving. That's all.
Oh,
Just
please,
me.
you're always there.
Yeah, no, I'm
You're like
gone.
dad in the
Gone.
background. What else am I missing, Albert?
Well, first off, so Michaela's with us tonight. Michaela was one of the ones that contributed to us, and I know we've always, and Michaela, if you're listening and still watching, we've always had you slotted to come back onto the show and do more, and we will see that through at some point here. Same thing with Maggie. She reached out to us today and said, congratulations on the 10th anniversary. She's doing her whole Star Wars thing now. She's on Petticoats and Poppies, which is part of the EGM network, but she's also doing her own Star Wars thing now with her group of folks, and she's got a YouTube channel and a show now, and that's just great to kind of see her doing her own thing there. So same thing with Maggie. We want to get her back on, and really, there's a lot of other people. I mean, we've got from a certain point of view that we're going to continue doing through the rest of the year, even though today is the official birthday. You can expect that content to continue through the rest of the year, as well as the alumni. I've got other guests lined up. They're going to come on and kind of share their experiences over the last 10 years or, however long they were with the show and all of that. And if you haven't had a chance, go listen to the show with Becca. There's some really great stuff that she brought up there for that. As far as the Patreon stuff, one of the things that we've, I said it earlier, it's a luxury that we have so much content. And so Jonesy and I have been talking about the comics and that being maybe a Patreon only exclusive thing kind of stuff. So we have not had a chance to really talk about the High Republic comics so far, but there's also the main title, and there's some pretty pivotal things that are happening now and starting to occur in that as well. So you'll probably see some of that get lifted and moved over into the Patreon stuff. So we've got that going, and then we're going to change the format just a tiny little bit. And I don't want to give away too much stuff, but we turned 23 minutes the other day into like an hour and 49 minutes or an hour and 39 minutes of show content. And so what we wanted to start doing was kind of have a full show. We're not really doing anything different there, but we want to take certain aspects of that show and move them to Patreon only. So we'll still cover the content. For example, the Bad Batch. We're going to go through everything like we normally do, but there may be one or two components of that will move over into Patreon only. And we'll get into that and dissect it a little bit more as bonus content. So things like that, where we feel like, we owe it to you guys that are contributing to Patreon. I mean, there's a lot of you, there's a lot of money coming in, and we're very grateful for that because it pays for, this application that we're using here that's not cheap, that Mike pays out of his own pocket. And by the way, I upped the price on it, and I didn't tell you about it, but
I know.
We can talk about that later.
I appreciate that, by the way. Well, thanks you.
But so things like that, right? And we've got to pay the bills, if you will. And so we need to put that stuff forward in front of you. And we've got other stuff that we've talked about. The Canteen After Dark is another one. We might change that a little bit in terms of how we go about and what the content is, but that's another opportunity to get some more content out towards you. So.
Yeah, and if there's things that people are interested in doing, so a part of Canteen After Dark, we've trying to figure out a way to, how do we do kind of an after show, type of thing. I know there's some shows that do like a pre-show before they go on air, and we'd love to be able to, interact with people a little bit more than we're able to. The chats that we have now are fantastic. So that's, I was nervous about the whole video thing, but I'm glad that y'all really spurred that forward again. And that's really worked out great. But if people have idea, we're open to it too. And, if we can find a way to kind of make that work into something sustainable, it's always great to have more ideas.
Yep, absolutely. And then, so on that note, I think you guys committed to this, so hopefully you did. When we're done here, we're going to record a 10th anniversary Patreon thing, right? So I've been taking notes. There's things in here that I want to talk about now because we've mentioned them, but I'm going to talk
shirt you're wearing.
I'm going to talk about my shirt because there's a story behind the shirt.
There's a grievance behind the shirt.
There's a grievance behind my shirt. So
basically, we're going to have Festivus.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's what's going to happen.
I'll get into the story about my SeaWorld voice, so I can tell you about that. Stephanie brought that up. We'll talk about what Mike and Joa cheated on to get the numbers up when they did, because he was very coy about it. Didn't give any details, but we'll talk about that.
The only reason I did that is because I don't want to get anybody else in trouble.
You can't do it anymore. They've already put a stop to it.
You sure about that?
I think so, yeah.
I don't know about that, sir.
All right, well, we'll tease it enough. We'll tease it. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. What do you got to lose?
We're not trying it. No. No.
There's
now you want to get back involved?
Yeah, now you want to get back in the show.
No,
Here we go.
I'm done. I'm out of here.
I thought we would talk about how we do the shows, or maybe we save that for another time. I want to talk about the lost 21 episodes. So I have all of the titles. I have all the titles of the episodes, and I have your bio from 2011 that I have not shared yet.
Oh, let's not go there.
And then maybe we'll get into the CC holiday special.
No, let's just not. None of that. I didn't agree to any of that.
Should we reenact the holiday special?
We can reenact the holiday special.
No, we're not.
Jonesy, we had a lot of people reach out to us before we go, wishing us happy birthday. Do you want to kind of run through those?
Yeah, we're just going to run down these names real quick. We're going to miss some people, I'm sure. But so if you reach out to us or you hit a like button, all that, thank you so much. It meant a lot to us, the retweets, the retells. But we got Rondell, we have Ash, Arturo, Fansolo, Keisha, Formalis, Salty Sith Lord, Little Red 1234, Orlando Calvrizian, Uthal, Michaela, who's with us tonight, Cab, AGE, BC White, Imperial Moonwalker Josh, Fisto Fury, Daniel over at the Star Wars Now This Is Podcasting podcast, Crusher 510, Neil Sega, Maggie and Nicole, of course, over at Petticoats and Poppies, KWG, Becca and Mark Sutter over at Tarkin's Top Shelf. Thanks for reaching out. Rural Farm Boy, and then Sarah Cairo, or better known as Dev Sibwara on Discord. And of course, all the EGM family and everything. Everyone's been fantastic. Did you have more, Albert?
No. I think that was I threw mine in there. But yeah, thank you guys for wishing us, happy birthday in 10 years. Like I said, it's just mind blowing to me that the show's been on for 10 years. I don't know how. But, no,
lots of alcohol, sir. Lots of alcohol.
Lots of alcohol. Lots of coffee.
I just got two special shout outs to two original Cantina girls who were there from the start, which is Kara and
Vader Girl,
who was another one, Monique. So thank you, ladies. You've been with us for 1,000 years. So just a tip of the hat to you guys. Thank you very much.
And get well, Kara. I know she's still doing her thing.
Of course.
So.
Get better.
I think that's it. We're going to call this a show. I mean,
thank God I'm retired.
Hour and 30. No, you got another show. You got the after show after
God's
this.
Sakes, why do you always rope me in?
We still got to do one more show.
Didn't you let a guy die in peace in a shed, for God's sakes?
Got another hour and a half to go, man.
Oh, my God.
Buck up.
I got to work in the morning.
Yeah. Not tonight. Not tomorrow, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us on the 10th anniversary. We'll be back in 10 years to do the 20th anniversary. So please join us for that show. And we may even have Mike dug out of the basement at that point. So
that's right.
No.
All right, Mike. This is it. Your opportunity. Your final words on the Cantina Cast. Do you have any final words for our listeners and supporters?
It's been
You're still listening? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me, and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.
It's been fun, but I gotta go.